If you are struggling with restless nights, if you're stressed to the max and you cannot find enough energy to make it through the day, you are in the right place. Say hello to magnesium. In this video, I'm going to share with you the benefits of magnesium, my personal experience after I incorporated magnesium, and share an easy way for you to incorporate magnesium into your routine. Hey everyone, I am Bladine Barthless. I'm a certified health and wellness coach, and I offer practical strategies to women in their midlife to help them up-level their health, their body, and their lives. Let's dive in. All right, so let's talk about magnesium and women over the age of 40. So I'm over 40, and what I've been hearing is from the clients that I work with, there's a difference that happens after we hit 40. There's certain changes that start to take place. Sleep becomes something that is more elusive. We start to have disturbances in that area. Sometimes it's easy to fall asleep but not stay asleep. Sometimes we get to sleep, but it's hard to manage, the restlessness that happens at night. And then sometimes it's just hard to fall asleep. So we wake up irritable, moody, groggy, because we're not rested. The other thing that becomes really challenging is stress. Not only at our ages, our careers are very demanding, but we also still have stressors at home. And sometimes, to compound it, we also have aging parents that we may be supporting at our ages as well. The other piece here is, on top of the fact that we're not sleeping, on top of the fact that stress is hard, our energy levels are nowhere near where they used to be. And so we are finding ourselves really struggling to make it through the day with the right amount of energy. And frankly, our bounce back game is almost non-existent. So one thing that I want you to understand is when I started looking at the statistics on magnesium, and then I'll talk to you about why magnesium, 50% of Americans is what I saw are deficient in magnesium. And so you might be thinking, well, it's just 50%. I might be on the right side of that 50%. Well, if you're a woman over 40, it's likely that we are way beyond 50%. The percentages for us are in the 80s, and the highest that I saw was 84% of women are deficient in magnesium. And a couple of reasons for that is because as we get older, our bodies are absorbing less magnesium and excreting more magnesium. And so as a result, deficiencies in this mineral become that much more likely for women our age. So let's talk about what magnesium is and what it actually does. So magnesium is an essential mineral. It's a mineral because it comes from the soil. So our produce, whatever is growing out of the ground, will usually get magnesium from the soil that it was grown in. It's essential because it actually supports over 300 chemical reactions within the body. Now, I'm not going to list all 300 here for you, but let me help you to understand just a few of them. And hopefully you'll start to make the linkages between why this mineral is so critical to our sleep, to our stress, and to our energy. So number one, helps with energy production. So when we take in food, our body needs to be able to take that food and turn it into energy. Magnesium helps with that. It helps with brain function, and it also helps with serotonin and dopamine so that our moods stay regulated. It helps with our rest and relax for the body. It helps us to actually have deep restorative sleep. And it also helps us to have less depression and less anxiety because we are restoring ourselves at night and have higher serotonin and dopamine levels. It also helps with blood sugar regulation. So if you are in a space where you're having challenges with blood sugar, absolutely think about magnesium. Now, if you want some more information on blood sugar regulation and 3 different ways that we typically forget to look at when it comes to blood sugar regulation, check out the video that I did just probably 2 videos ago on blood sugar regulation. Another thing it helps with is blood pressure stabilization. So if you're challenged with managing your blood pressure, think about magnesium and if you probably have some deficiencies there. There's also increased bone density. So as we get older, osteoporosis becomes more of a possibility. So having adequate magnesium increases your bone density, which decreases the likelihood that you'll end up with osteoporosis. It helps with your body's own melatonin production. Many of us are supplementing with melatonin, but if we're going to supplement, we want to make sure that we give our bodies the fighting chance to actually produce what it is supposed to produce, and magnesium can help with that. It regulates your body's internal clock, which supports your sleep as well, and then it decreases inflammation that could lead to heart disease. So all of these areas are specific places where magnesium can support a greater degree of health around stress, health around sleep, and health around energy. So it's no wonder we're struggling in these areas because life is challenging. And if we're deficient on top of those challenges, then yes, those will become overwhelming situations for us to manage. So let's talk about how much magnesium we actually need and where we should get it from, okay? So the recommended daily allowance for women is 320 milligrams. So I will say to you that there are several experts that are pushing now for that number to be increased because they really do believe that 320 milligrams is not enough for us to actually support the many different either challenges from life that we're managing or even what our bodies need to function at a high degree in the time space that we're in. So for the sake of this video, however, we're going to go ahead and start with 320 milligrams. So when we think about where to get this from, I will say always start with food. Oftentimes we jump straight to supplementation, and the way that supplements should actually work is that it should supplement a great diet. And so what we want to do is think about what are the wholesome magnesium-rich foods that we can actually add into our diet, and then which supplement can we take and pair alongside that so that we get full benefits of magnesium. So let's start with the actual foods. So on this chart here, you will see a list of different magnesium-rich foods. And as you see them, you'll begin to notice how easy it is for us to begin to increase our magnesium amounts if we are eating real food. Let's start with leafy greens. Okay, so there's spinach, there's kale, and there's collards. 1 cup of spinach equals 158 milligrams of magnesium. Then if you move to legumes, you have beans and chickpeas and lentils. 1/2 cup of black beans gives you 60 milligrams of magnesium. If you move to avocados, a medium avocado will give you 58 milligrams of magnesium. And then I saved the best for last, dark chocolate. Now wait, I'm not talking about Kit Kats and Snicker bars. I'm talking about good quality dark chocolate that is at least 70%, between 70 to 85% cocoa solids. Your body deserves that good stuff, okay? So just 1 ounce of that dark chocolate will give you 64 milligrams of magnesium. So you might be thinking, if it's so simple to get this amount of magnesium from our foods, why do we even need supplementation? Great question. 2 reasons. Number 1, we're not always eating these wholesome foods that can actually support our bodies. Our lives are busy. It's hard sometimes to get to the dinner table and eat foods that we've actually cooked and are aware of the nutrients and the ingredients that are a part of it. So oftentimes we're reaching for processed foods, and those foods are devoid of the minerals that we need. So that's the first reason. The second reason is because the soils that we are growing our produce in are just simply not as rich as they once were. So magnesium levels are much lower than they once were. And that's something to keep in mind as well. So let's talk about supplementation. What supplements should you look at? And how do you know that this supplement is actually supporting you? All right, so one thing to keep in mind about magnesium is that there are a number of different magnesiums. I believe there's like 7 to 9 different forms of magnesium, and they all serve a different benefit. But one thing you want to keep in mind is what is the absorption rate, okay? So when I take this in, how much is my body actually absorbing and taking to use, all right? The other piece is when you take supplements, you should feel a difference. If you are taking magnesium and you're not having any impact with sleep, with stress, with energy, you gotta take a step back and ask yourself, is this actually working? And if it's not, it's fine to actually go and find a different supplement. You should feel a difference when you take supplements. So just keep that in mind. So let me start off by telling you this. There's one magnesium that you should absolutely avoid, and that is magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is probably the most commonly sold magnesium that's out there. If you've got a bottle of old magnesium in your cupboard, or it's in somewhere in your house, you haven't used it, it's probably magnesium oxide. If you've used it and you're just like, I don't see a difference, probably magnesium oxide. And you know why? It only has a 4% absorption rate. That means 96% of it is pretty much going through your system and doing absolutely nothing for you. So magnesium oxide is the absolute worst. So you might be wondering, what's the best? Magnesium glycinate or magnesium biglycinate. This magnesium actually supports muscle spasms, prevents muscle spasms. It helps with sleep and relaxation. It helps with stress reduction, and it also helps with migraine support. So if you are challenged with any of those areas, this is a magnesium that you should use. Now, as far as absorption, 80% absorption. So you see the difference between the two. Now, there are other types like magnesium threonate with high absorption as well, but that one tends to be a little bit more expensive. Magnesium glycinate is highly recommended and more accessible for all of us. So my experience with magnesium is that I started taking magnesium glycinate. And what I've noticed immediately was that I was not waking up in the middle of the night. Another thing that I noticed is that when I woke up, I actually felt like I slept. I felt refreshed. The other piece that I noticed was a lot more calm in my system. And so if these are some of the benefits that you would like to have from magnesium, then I definitely suggest that you take a look at what you're taking, look at the foods that you're eating, and boost your magnesium intake. Now, the brand of magnesium that I use is BioOptimizers, and theirs is called Magnesium Breakthrough. They actually combine up to 7 different magnesium in their product, and as a result, it has a myriad of different benefits, including the ones that we have been talking about. So I'm going to drop a link in the description box below. I would recommend you go ahead and check that out if you're looking for a magnesium to actually have impact. Go ahead and check that out. Now, if you are just overwhelmed by all this information and you're somebody who likes to have information in front of you, I created a quick guide that you can use with all of this information that will show you the benefits of magnesium, and it will actually show you which symptoms that you have, ask you the symptoms that you have, and then recommend, just as I did at the end of this video, some different magnesium that you can consider. If you'd like that, that will also be in the description box below. So to wrap this up, if you're struggling with sleep, stress, or energy, and you have not considered magnesium, I would highly suggest that you take a look at the foods that you're eating, take a look at the supplementation that you have, and consider ways that this mineral could actually revolutionize that aspect of your life. All right, Until next time, to our collective transformation. We'll talk again soon.